We're here with Henry Richardson, Reflections on Unity. We're here at the new Asheville Art Museum, and he is the sculptor of this beautiful glass orb. And Henry, kind of tell us a little bit about it, behind the scenes, how this was created, where it's been, and how it got here.
Thanks, Rick. So this sculpture is comprised of thousands of pieces of plate glass that were cut and chiseled with a hammer and chisel, and then the edges are sanded off. It's called Reflections on Unity, and the idea is that you have all of these thousands of pieces of glass bonded together with the light coming through it. And what's interesting to me is that the glass itself is very similar to stone. The properties when you chisel it are very similar to stone, and the density, the mass of it, is similar to stone. And so what I'm trying to do is to take a material that's essentially a stone and create a large object out of it, but it reduces the mass. And the idea that the light transmission through a very heavy object, this is 4,200 pounds, can appear light, as opposed to, if this were a solid granite piece or a bronze piece, you'd have that sense of mass, and this has a lightness to it. So that's a curious phenomenon to me. How light can interplay with our perception of weight and mass.
How did it get here, and how nervous are you as this thing moves around?
Well, now that's an interesting question, Rick, because if you think about how it's actually constructed, these are laminated layers of plate glass. So the lamination is a polymer silicate. This particular one is activated with ultraviolet radiation. It has a very strong adhesion strength. So the bonding surfaces themselves are stronger than the actual glass. And glass has a very high compression value. So once you put it into a spherical form, the piece itself is incredibly stable, but also very shock resistant. There's a plasticity to the bonding agent, which also allows it to be outside, because you have temperature differentials between heat and cold, and glass normally is not an element where if you heat it and cool it rapidly, you don't get cracking. So this permits sort of an expansion and contraction of a very large piece of glass, and that's one of the reasons that you don't see a lot of very large sculpture which is exhibited outside. Moving this piece, however, when you encounter a situation like this, we moved the boulder from the quarry. It's 8.13 tons. This had to be craned in and set, and then it had to be leveled. And once the stone was in place, I had to cut and level the surface where the orb, the sculpture, would actually set on place of the boulder, while the truck went to get the orb from the warehouse. And then when it returned, the mortar that I had set had to be strong enough to support the weight of the orb. So there's a dance involved in all of these installations where you have to have the coordination of the people working with the cranes and the truckers to get here, and the elements to bond it and have a flat surface.
It's beautiful. You're in a prime spot here outside the Asheville Art Museum. And if people want to know more about your works, we're here with the world famous artist, Henry Richardson. Where can they go to learn more about you and what you do?
Rick, I appreciate that. If you remember the name Henry Richardson and you Google that, it'll take you right to henryrichardson.com, which has a number of examples of larger and smaller work throughout the country, including the 9/11 Memorial in Danbury, Connecticut.
It's beautiful, Henry, as are all your works, and pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it.